Tonight, we explore the extraordinary unraveling of a man who never set out to be a hero, yet found himself trapped in a quest that reshaped his identity. Ron Trosper, once an ordinary employee with a predictable routine, has become the unexpected center of a psychological storm. What began as a harmless curiosity about his company's strange operations slowly pulled him into a maze of suspicion, secrecy, and self-doubt. His journey forces us to confront a universal truth. Sometimes the most dangerous battles are the ones fought within our own mind. As Ron encounters unexplained inconsistencies, he starts to question not just the people around him, but the very fabric of reality that once felt stable. And with each step deeper, the line between careful investigation and personal obsession begins to blur in ways he never anticipated. From his earliest moments on the job, Ron was known as someone who preferred simplicity, a man satisfied with routines and a quiet life. But beneath that calm exterior existed a restless spark, the kind that grows silently until the right moment ignites it. When Ron first sensed something wrong with the company's operations, it wasn't a loud revelation. It was a whisper, a glitch in paperwork, a strange comment from a coworker, a chair that didn't quite function the way it should. These small moments formed the cracks that eventually split open the world he thought he understood. What makes Ron's psychological journey so compelling is the slow transformation that unfolds. He doesn't leap into madness. He drifts toward it, convinced that every step is rational, every suspicion justified, even as he drifts further from the version of himself he once recognized. As Ron digs deeper into the company's secrets, his behavior begins to shift in subtle but telling ways. His conversations become sharper, his reactions more intense, and his once steady relationships start to tremble under the weight of his growing fixation. Friends and colleagues see a man under stress, but Ron sees a man awakening to truths others refuse to acknowledge. The sense of being unappreciated, overlooked, or dismissed only pushes him further. This emotional isolation becomes the fuel for his newfound purpose. And while some might view his actions as reckless, Ron believes he's finally stepping into a meaningful role, one that gives him clarity and direction. What he doesn't realize is that purpose can be a double-edged sword. The deeper he follows it, the more he risks cutting himself off from the world he's trying to protect. By the time Ron reaches the midpoint of his journey, the transformation is undeniable. His simple life, once a source of comfort, now feels suffocating. Every small detail becomes a clue, every silence a warning. His mind, constantly racing, begins to interpret ordinary events as coded signals, guiding him toward hidden truths. And while the world around him continues to function normally, Ron's inner world grows darker and more complex. He convinces himself that only he can uncover the answers, that walking away would mean surrendering to ignorance. This psychological shift turns curiosity into compulsion, and compulsion into obsession. Yet despite the chaos forming inside him, there is a strange sense of empowerment in his voice, as if he finally feels alive in ways he never did before. And that feeling, more than anything, becomes the force that keeps pulling him forward. As Ron's investigation intensifies, the consequences begin rippling through every corner of his life. The people closest to him notice the change first. The late nights, the scattered notes, the way he startles at small noises, as if the world is speaking in riddles only he can hear. At work, his colleagues watch with a mix of concern and confusion, unsure whether Ron is uncovering something real or simply unraveling under pressure. But Ron dismisses their doubts. To him, every warning sign from others is proof he is on the right track. That discomfort is the price of uncovering what others fail to see. This is where Ron's journey becomes most gripping, not because of what he discovers, but because of what he risks losing. His mind sharpens even as his relationships fracture, creating a tension that neither he nor the audience can fully escape. One of the most telling stages of Ron's psychological evolution is the way he begins to reinterpret his past. Moments that once seemed meaningless now feel like signs he missed, hints pointing toward a larger pattern. He rewrites memories, reshapes conversations, and frames coincidences as confirmations. This reconstruction of his own history marks a deep shift. Ron is no longer just searching for the truth, he is shaping it. The certainty he feels becomes intoxicating, replacing fear with an almost heroic pride. And yet, beneath the surface, there's an unspoken anxiety. Ron senses that he's gone too far to turn back, but not far enough to win the battle he imagines himself fighting. The tension between who he was and who he is becoming traps him in a psychological limbo, pulling him deeper into a world only he can fully understand. As the pressure intensifies, Ron's internal and external realities collide in unpredictable ways. The company's evasiveness, whether real or imagined, pushes him to extremes. He grows more confident in his theories, even as the evidence grows more ambiguous. This duality is where his character becomes truly fascinating. Ron is neither fully right nor fully wrong. He's a man trying to make sense of chaos by creating a narrative that grants him control. But the more he asserts control, the more it slips away. Friends begin distancing themselves. His home life crumbles, and Ron finds himself standing at the edge of isolation. Yet to him, isolation becomes validation. If no one stands beside him, it must mean he is the only one brave enough to confront the truth. That belief becomes the anchor holding him steady and the weight pulling him down. In the final stretch of his journey, Ron's world becomes a reflection of his internal turmoil. Shadows feel sharper, silence feels louder, and every moment carries the weight of impending revelation. He moves with a sense of destiny now, convinced that every step is part of a grand design he was chosen to uncover. But what makes this stage so compelling is the ambiguity surrounding his discoveries. Are they breakthroughs or breakdowns? The audience is left suspended between sympathy and suspicion, watching a man who might be on the brink of genius or disaster. Ron's expressions reveal everything: the exhaustion in his eyes, the fire in his voice, the trembling hope that he hasn't given his life to a lie. His conviction is haunting, but it is also deeply human. The longing to matter, to uncover meaning in a world that often feels indifferent. By the end of Ron Trosper's psychological journey, he stands transformed. No longer the ordinary employee we met at the start, but a man reshaped by the weight of his own beliefs. Whether he has uncovered genuine corruption or created a world of imagined conspiracies becomes almost irrelevant. What matters is the emotional truth at the heart of his obsession. Ron needed purpose, and the investigation became the map that guided him toward it. His descent is both tragic and strangely heroic, a reminder of how easily a search for answers can become a search for identity. As the story closes, we are left with a portrait of a man suspended between clarity and delusion, determination and despair. Ron's journey lingers because it reflects something universal: the desperate human desire to feel seen and the overwhelming power of a mission that consumes us from within.